This Sunday evening, we are here to discuss managing your team, your juniors, associates, and paramedics for building a culture of respect, caring, better productivity, and patient satisfaction. Friends, in any medical establishment, the growth, the reputation, and the finance is directly proportional to only two things. Number one, staff ownership participation. Till every staff member, every team member is on the same page for the growth of hospital. Everybody is committed, sweet, and works as a team. And the second item is high-end technology. So the systems, healthcare systems, which have got these two qualities, staff ownership and high-end technology, always does great. So today we are going to discuss managing your team. When I say team, that means your co-workers, your juniors and associates, your anesthesiologist, administrators, paramedics, technicians. Get them into a culture of respect, a culture of care, treating others like your brethren. So how does it start? The longer the stay you have of your employees, the better the system would be. A system which has a rapid turnover, people leaving you every second year, third year, demoralizes the newcomers. Lot of strain on the lead role player every time he has to train the new people. Performance goes down and the patient satisfaction is low. Imagine a system where somebody was operated 30 years ago for his hernia, came again for his son's hernia, and even 30 years later when he comes for his grandson's paraphimosis or phimosis, finds the same familiar faces which were there when he was operated. How much satisfaction that fellow will have when he finds the same familiar people, same caring team. Now, all of us desire so to have a good team. All of us keep thinking, how can I retain my people? This is idly an HR lecture. But today, I'm taking this opportunity to share some of the HR formulas, because majority of the surgeons in rural India or even in urban India cannot afford a good HR person. So some HR characters needs to be imbibed in a surgeon's life. So the most important thing is the recruitment. When you want to take a new person, we have two kinds of people. One who start from the base level. Somebody has just done a nursing school and just joining you fresh. And the second part is somebody who is 10, 20 years experienced is for some reasons shifting to you from another hospital. There's not much of details need to be found out for somebody who is at the entry level. But somebody who is leaving a job after 10 to 20 years working elsewhere, it is good to find out what were his issues at his last place, why he left it. The philosophy is, it is always good to have a less intelligent team player than a more intelligent fighter in the unit, which will spoil peace of mind of the surgeon and may be provocative to the staff and will provocate some of your good people who are there peacefully working for a long time. So good to have pre-employment check. Some of the areas I will share how I lived my life. When I get somebody new, my philosophy is I share with them. If you do not know anything, we don't mind. That's why you are with us. I'm blunt enough to say, somebody who is too good, he will join All India Institute or Gangaram Hospital. Why should he come to a 50-bedded hospital? So if somebody doesn't know, he is welcome. But he should raise his hand and say, sir, I have never put a catheter. I have never dealt this case. I have never done an appendectomy all alone at midnight. So that's the best policy. The best answer on surgical rounds is, I don't know. Welcome, Dr. Dilesh. So somebody who joins, there are 3 things which I want to share with that gentleman. Number 1, he should not be involved in anti-institutional activity. Number 2, he should not have financial pilferage. And number 3, there should be no sexual offense in the campus. Every employee has his own personal life. What he or she does after the duty hours is none of my business. So, right in the beginning, when you tell the terms that, look, these are unpardonable offenses in our unit, it is better to spell that things go right. Now, in the part of training and creating a culture, the first important thing of retention is a culture of respect. When we start our day in the morning, the first person to wish anybody, hey, good morning, how are you doing? It costs me nothing. I even wish to my ward boy, to my sweeper, to my clerk, and whatnot. It gives a sense of caring. You can gently ask even your liftman when you travel, how is your little daughter who was sick last month? Is she well in the village? Friends, the respect, the more you distribute, it comes back by the multiple. Very interesting. The new hospital I joined, I was only 3 months old. And a very smart lady who is additional medical superintendent, we were walking together in the corridor, and then we traveled through 1 or 2 lifts to reach her office. And when we reached there, she said, Dr. Sharma, you get more salutes on the corridor than I get it. I'm here for 10 years and you are here for 3 months. I said, well, let's go to your office and then we'll discuss. Then I asked, have you ever asked, how is ward boy doing today? How is the little daughter of that lift man who had an abscess last month? He said, that's not my area. I said, then the respect you don't give, you don't get. You can't force respect out of your employees. So the philosophy I want to say, give respect, be pleasant, even if you are not saying good morning, just smile and wave at people and see the impact. 3 months down the lane, everybody when you cross the corridors will be smiling and waving at you. So the philosophy number 1, first give the respect. It will come back to you in multiples. Second, discipline. I cannot expect others to be disciplined if I am not disciplined. As if white coat in the hospital is a necessity, then I should wear it first, regardless of the calendar month. If punctuality is the issue, I should be the first one to reach. So what we call it as in administrative language, lead by example. Be the first to show how the things have to be done. If talking to the patients politely is required, I should exhibit the style of talking in front of them. If the compassion has to be followed, if we have to call somebody, Uncle ji thoda side le lo, then only the nurse will say like that. Otherwise, she will say, hey, Baba, hot side pe. And one example of discipline creates a discipline culture in the department. Third philosophy is get genuinely interested in other people. Do not be arrogant. Some of your nurse who was punctual in last 1 year has started coming late. Before yelling at her, call her in your office, or a paramedic, welcome Dr. Taneja. So a paramedic who was good worker has started coming late. His behavior is a bit irritable. Call him over a cup of coffee and say, Mrs. Jocelyn, you used to be so good in your work. I hope all is well at home. How can I help you perform better? You might get an answer that his mother is not well, so she has to cook for her mother. Welcome, Dr. Sidhu. And it may be that the local bus in which she was coming comes late. So to make her, if her mother is not well, offer help if you can. If it is not your specialty, get help from a friend. If we will not look after our employees, who else would look after? Some amount of investment in the form of time, money and concern is mandatory. The staff is like a little baby. When we throw our baby in the air, the baby has a hope that the dad will hold the child back before the falls on the ground. Similarly, if one of our employee is in trouble, then yelling at her that if you come late, I will turn you out. Philosophy number 4, Never threaten anybody turning out. Try to look into, have some empathy. Look from another man's viewpoint. How is she coping up with the strain of her sick mother? Now, a staff nurse or a paramedic or a junior doctor doesn't have two maids at home. He doesn't have a chauffeur-driven car. So, if you want to build a team, think from another man's perspective. Get into his or her shoes and think what problems that person is facing. So, genuinely get interested, offer help, I repeat, as time, money, and support. The fifth point is appreciate every small performance above average. Somebody has done a good job. My junior has made a good diagnosis. I should pat his back. I should say, very bright. Now, the philosophy here is write it on your wall. Praise in public, criticize in private. So often, when a sick patient gets well, I always in front of the family and the patient say, look, dear friend, you got well because of lot of labor of my team. And at that particular moment, I always appreciate, say, for example, Dr. Arindam is my number 2 and Vikas is number 3. I'll say these 2 doctors have done very great work. Our sisters are brilliant. Our resident is very caring. So for morale boosting, I will take a group photo of all those involved, including intensivist, including the resident in HTU, who may or may not have contributed, but in a team building spirit. And not only I take a photograph, when I make a presentation to the management, to my medical superintendent that this patient has got well, I always send we, the unit 2. When I say we, that includes my anesthetist, my residents, my consultant, everybody. Try to say everybody is great. You automatically become great. Never sing your own song. Never say, oh, I am very experienced. I have done this case 1,000 times. No, don't be arrogant. Never take the credit. The public knows who has done the job. You don't need to blow your own whistle. There are so many other people in the crowd. And today, and even in yesterday's eras, that is a difference. That is the beauty of any surgical specialty. I still remember a famous case. A very uneducated rural Sardarji. While I was a resident, I was taking a history. And this was a game changer in my mind. When I was taking the history, I said, what is this scar? And he said, I underwent a operation for his perforated bowel in Lahore Medical College. I just out of curiosity asked, Sardar Sahab, who operated you? I was amazed. He said, Dr. Sir Williams did this operation. So an uneducated man also remembers the name of the person who did a surgical intervention. So your name he will remember anyway. Try to project your team high up in the esteem. Until you do something for others, others will never do great about you. Even relevant to the current era. Suppose currently there is a recession. You may be earning slightly less, but all of us have earned enough during our life that even we can sit back and eat. So don't turn out people. That is the most illogical idea. It takes years to create a good scrub nurse. It takes years to create a good technician. If the revenues of the hospital has gone down, it's none of the fault of the gentleman who has given his life to you. Instead of, if you want to decrease your wages, go the American way. Instead of turning out 2 people, decrease 10%. Good evening, Professor Pandey. Decrease the revenue by 10% for 10 people, with a promise that 3 months from now or 6 months from now, as soon as we start earning in the peak again, we will pay back you your money. And if you are well off, don't deduct. Remember, you can buy a Siemens 3 Tesla MRI in 4 weeks. You give money, you get it from Japan in 3 weeks, 4 weeks. You cannot recreate a scrub nurse or a OT technician by any amount of money in 3 years. Somebody who has held your camera for 20 years has made your life easy. You cannot buy him by money. Once gone, always gone. So take care of your people during rainy days. Number 7, offer outside the workplace help also. Somebody's daughter is unemployed. Somebody's son has met with an accident where he has a police case against him. Somebody's neighbor is creating trouble for him. All surgeons have good area of influence in police, administration and neighborhood. So we should be genuinely interested in our employees to help them even out of the way, out of the campus issues, if you are influential enough. Whenever somebody asks advance money, leaves, be liberal. If somebody is your own, you will always get. And always keep a row of people, create a 2-3 tier system, so that when you have multiple people, one following the other, they will keep training down the ladder. So nobody would be ever able to blackmail you. Never bow down under duress or pressure. The staff members, whenever a new hospital will open in my neighborhood, they will, what can they do? They will, where from the paramedics will come. Remember, your best pieces will be picked up early. If somebody has to take a OT technician, he will try to eye on my OT technician. And since he has to have only one, so we can suddenly offer him 5,000 rupees more. Out of 50 plus employees, I cannot under pressure increase the salary of one guy. And the rises are never hidden. Number 1, never buckle under pressure. Number 2, all rules are meant to be modified, need-based. If I find the replacement of this person will be difficult and he is asking for a sudden rise, I will compromise somewhere in between. But then I tell him, look, this rise will be given to you once a year. Say somebody is asking for 4,000, I will never give him 4,000 every month. I will give him 48,000 rupees at the end of the year. Because one installment can always be hidden. We don't want heartburn with the rest of the staff so that everybody gets upset. Everybody may not be able to blackmail you, but everybody will become upset. So friends, if after having done all that, there will be times when you have troubleshooters in the unit. There is no place where there is no gossip. There are not troubleshooters. They are part of the system. And the rule on troubleshooting is, as I said, praise in public, criticize in private. Always call the fellow. Now there are few do's and don'ts handling a troubleshooter. The rule followed is PSP. First P stands for praise. So be, when you start the discussion with a troubleshooter, number one, be cool. Don't be angry. Anger yields you nowhere. Be cool-headed, very pleasant. Across the table discussion, offer some tea, water, juice, whatever is relevant. Praise the employee. Give him a shot of dopamine, which increases the level of satisfaction and happiness in that employee. Tell him that, Mr. John, you are such a good worker. I feel good to be associated that you are in our unit for last 4 years. Point out the fault in the behavior, not in the person. But lately, your comments regarding Mrs. Thomas are not good. They are not appreciated by me or anybody else. Do you have anything to say about that? So, in PSP, first is praise. Second, share. Share the episode. Share his error and mistake, which has diminish the working culture's reputation. But always supplement it by saying, I understand you may have your version of the story. I would like to know what you have to say on this. And now be a pin drop listener. Listen to what he has to say. And again, end it with a note of appreciation and praise. And shake hand and saying, I hope this doesn't happen again. When we talk on such issues, when we are dealing staff issues, a golden rule I want to share: never talk to a staff nurse or a lady employee all alone. Let me share. I had a senior, good evening Dr. Habib. I had a senior nurse who worked around 28 years with me. So, if a younger girl has done the gravest mistake at 9 a.m., I will not talk to her at all till the elder sister comes at 12 o'clock. So I will talk only in her presence to a younger girl. Suddenly, the girl If you talk tough, suddenly she starts crying. There will be as many versions of her cries outside in the campus, and you give an opportunity for the gossip to start. Why that? A smart person should never let that happen. Now, when we say Mr. X is a very difficult employee, remember, the difficult employee is never to begin with. If he was bad to begin with, then there is something wrong in my assessment at the time of recruitment. Try to recognize the problem of behavior happens gradually. It develops over time. And there has to be an underlying cause. And the first thing I do is I try to analyze, am I the cause? Is something wrong in my dealing, my conduct? Most surgeons are egoistic. They would have a fixed idea, a fixed line of management regarding a problem. And they want to die fit every employee, every doctor into the same die cast. Everybody may not fit into that. So, do not focus on one episode of overt behavior. Examine the underlying factors. Whenever you have such an issue, clarifications first. Don't confront. First be a listener. Talk to that person peacefully. That how the things can improve. Now, plan your strategic issues. Define the problem in a given person. Offer a solution or accept a solution. What solution does the offender give you? Take a commitment that he will not do it again. There's no harm of telling him, look, I am trying to educate you on this. Take it as my verbal, friendly warning. And if you don't do it, we might have to give you a written explanation. Tell the employee he should behave like an adult. We don't want any intermediaries, that somebody else is coming to negotiate on your behalf. In interpersonal issues within the staff, try to find out from both parties. Be a listener. Listen to both sides. And try to strike a midway balance cordially. And if both are non-yielding, both are at fault, the rule should be every single employee in the organization should be working for the organization. Anybody who is against should be first mended. And if not mendable, then should be ended. Now, one important issue I want to share as the end of this discussion. If you are convinced by repeated communications that somebody is a repeat offender, is working against the institution, again, there's no point of calling a cat a cat. Be pleasant, call him over coffee and tell him, Mr. Somnath, you worked very well for us for last 3-4 years. Currently, you are not acting pro-institution. You are a good worker, but having you here is a constant trouble. So I am suggesting you find a job for yourself. Suppose his notice period is 1 month. I will happily give him 2 months salary. I will never let an unsatisfied person stay in my campus. I never say I have turned you out. Never point a finger at anybody during discussion. I would say, I'm giving you 2 months paid holidays. Enjoy life, cool down your head, find a job. And if you do not find a job, I will try to help you. Wherever you try a job, give my reference. I'll speak good about you. So when we are even sending somebody out, that is the last resort. It is like amputation in a limb injury. Until the Mengele score is very high, when you have to save life for limb, then only you chop off the limb. So the philosophy I want to raise, when it comes to the end of nuisance to you, to organization, if you are terminating also somebody, terminate him with happy note. Don't create enmity. Don't suddenly produce a financial irregularity in somebody's family, because there is no fault of his children and wife and parents who were dependent upon his bread. So even the last ceremonies should be done presently. Friends, to conclude this discussion today, for any medical organization or hospital industry, there are only 2 constant factors for growth in reputation, work and finance. Number 1, staff ownership. Number 2, high-end technology. Today we have discussed staff ownership, how we can get best out of our staff. And what we discussed today, number 1 was the respect factor. Give respect, take respect. Let everybody call another person G. I train my residents, they never call somebody as sister. The word is Sister G. Always thank the sister after the case is done. Always thank your, even when spinal is given, anesthetist is relaxed, I still ask, can we start, ma'am? It gives a respect to the other person. Also is a scientific communication that is she ready for us to cut. And if I do 6 cases in a day with the same anesthesiologist, every time when the case finishes, I say, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. It is only expressing gratitude in team building. By talking sweet, you lose nothing. Spread a culture of respect. Lead by example. Lead by punctuality, white coat, good communication. Get genuinely interested in people. Help your employees within the system and outside the system. Offer help. Be an uncle to your employees. Be their savior so that they feel safe. Do not look at that on an employee of 20,000 rupees, you spend 3 lakh rupees. All the surgeons, I know nobody in the country who is not earning, matching his skill and effort. Everybody is doing well. Keep staff happy with you. And if there is a consistent irregularity in a good worker, try to find out why. Offer help. If there is a dispute, let both parties sit down and discuss. Never talk to a lady employee all alone. Her cries can ruin your reputation. And in the end, if you find somebody is a constant nuisance, offer him 2-3 months salary and don't say you are turning him away. Say you are giving him paid holidays to look for a better job. Offer him a good recommendation certificate. Get the trouble out from your unit. So friends, I have discussed this part, and thank you very much. If you have any questions, suggestions, please put it up. We will share with each other, and thank you very much